And we are live. Welcome everybody back to Revved Engines Racing Roblox, whatever it is. I keep mixing all the words up. Um, after like episode one, Sky has finally returned with us on screen.
I'm
As you
back.
can see, we have practice is open for Richmond. Hayes is on track currently. He is in number 88. So see where you're running and see what's gonna be the most challenging part. But today we're gonna be talking about Dega or the aftermath or post race for Dega and what we could possibly expect from Richmond. So Sky, you just got done with the record your side of watching Talladega. What was your thoughts on Dega and how things went?
It was an interesting race, definitely was. A- I'd say a bit chaotic at times, but not that. It's not. It wasn't a bad chaotic. It was actually a really fun to watch chaotic in a way. The finish was really good. I mean, I'm iffy on the finish about that one, but it it was definitely a good race. Definitely a good race. Definitely fun to watch, especially the second or the final stage. It was definitely fun to watch.
Well, Dega, yeah, in my opinion, Dega was fun to race. You said you had fun watching Dega. I had fun racing it because I was involved in it. Got involved in a few things. Now mentioning that I got my Air Force license and halfway through the race, but there's a lot of different moments that it happened in the race that was kind of interesting to say the least, and there was definitely some things that was avoidable um that happened. But for the most part, racing was pretty good. I mean, we had to go from I think 5 seconds behind Axel to literally accidentally wrecking him. I wasn't the one that wrecked him. He was getting a big push by his teammate Runky and got turned off the front bumper, pushed in the wrong spot, caused it. So that's what happened there. But for the most part, racing was fun. So, was there any notable things that you saw in the race that was kind of questionable or anything?
Um, there was one thing that happened that I mean, when we were talking about it when I was watching or reviewing the race myself, when on that one restart, I can't remember who was in front of you, but the fact that they turned dead right into the wall in turn one, that was a little like you can drive
You talk
straight.
about the incident where I did take flight.
Yes, where you took flight. Yes, that incident. I was a little confused on how that happened in the first place because you don't need to turn other than left on those corners, especially going into those transitions. Because I mean, I know in the past during like the LUM days, you had to turn a bit due to the track pushing you down if you wanted to stay to that top side.
Yeah,
But going now, it's not like that. You don't need to turn like that to make that corner. So I don't know what happened there, but it was quite questionable. It was kind of funny to watch though. It just that
I
was
think you
mainly
can
the one
see
part.
that he misjudged the corner. I guess you can say overall
In a
because
way,
he goes in the corner like so. From my perspective, when it first happened and everything, I don't know what I was thinking, but I thought for a second he moved down, but then came back across my front bumper, and I had no time to lift, and he turned right into the outside wall. But after looking at the recording, I was not even on him. I wasn't even touching him. He just turned right on his own into the wall,
uh,
or I don't know if it was lag. I don't know if it keybind issue. I don't know, but yeah, it was a very interesting hit to the wall, as you can see. Here at Richmond, Case has left the game, but he is But that's Cardinals track, so I guess we
Pardon?
can
I
get
thought my
Richmond
screen
pictures.
was frozen for a second. I've just been sitting here. Thought my screen was frozen.
No,
No
no.
idea. Can you see?
Yeah, no, Case is stopped on the track or has his car stopped on the track. But overall, Richmond was pretty fun to do. Uh, uh, but overall, Talladega was pretty fun. There were some interesting things. Like I don't know why I glossed over it, but the very first pit stop was very chaotic for everybody. Uh, like literally, I didn't realize everyone was pitting, and the entire field. I mean, all but like one or two or three people pitted all at the same time. So it allowed uh chaos to ensue for everybody. Uh, Frog and Axe. I think Frog. Yeah, Frog was on the outside of Axel, pushed Axel into me, causing a small stack up between us. It didn't really affect us much, other than me losing a bit of time. But one question I do have about pit stops is how the hell did Axel get out so far ahead? Yes, he stayed out an extra lap, but that doesn't always mean nothing. The only way to do that is if you either, sped on pit road, jumped your pit timer or something like that.
Or completely avoided the head return finally. But I don't think it happened. But one thing I was thinking while reviewing the footage, or at least from your perspective, possibly avoided the pit limiter, went to his pit box without
You can't
anybody
really avoid
realizing.
the. Yeah, that's true. To
I
be honest,
mean,
he had a
it seems
massive
quite
lead. I mean,
normal.
like so when I pitted, he was about a second or two behind me, I do believe. And then when he came into pit road, or when he got off pit road and everything, he was 5 seconds ahead of everybody, Runky and Data included.
Yeah,
So it's like
that's
quite
what I'm
interesting.
saying. I it I'm not saying it's what happened, but I was thinking of it as like a possibility because I've in prior races, I mean in the past at least, I don't know remember which series it was, or which series we were in when it happened, but I do remember seeing a car, at least one do it, end up going around the pit limiter
Pit limiter.
and then going to their uh, pit box, doing their time, and then leaving immediately.
Yeah.
Because that would be the only way I can think of he could get to his pit box that fast, no matter where it is. Because even if you're at the very back, you're still quite far away from the limiter. It would take you about a good 4 to 5 seconds just to get there with the pit road speed. And then,
Yeah. Keep going.
but then, and especially even coming off pit road, it still takes you about 2 to 3 seconds just to get off pit road, no matter where you are, because you got to leave your pit box. Pit road speed is what, 65 studs a second?
Yes, 65 studs second all the time. It's like that for every track.
It it takes you a good amount of time just to get there before before you get to the limiter that fixes your or puts your speed back to normal. Now I'm not sure because I wasn't really paying attention. Now if they have the save button, I'm wondering something.
They could
Is
click
that
that button and
I
go through the
just thought of that.
limiter.
I'm like, wait a minute. The save button
Mm.
fixes your speed if you click it twice.
Yeah, and
If
it
you
doesn't put you
have
back to 65 speed studs per second.
no, It
So
puts you back
that's the
to the
thing.
normal 44. So I'm wondering if when he got to his pit box, he ended up hitting that button or fixing his speed on his own without going through the other limiter. Once his pit timer was up, bolting out of there and getting that lead. I That would be another possibility. I'm not fully sure. I'm just throwing out ideas here. But that would be another possibility that could happen. There's a lot of possibilities. It's hard to say what
Yeah.
actually happened. We would have had
Well,
to have
overall,
footage of some watching him to see what happened.
yeah. Well, overall, in the end, he still didn't get stage points. He kind of got, like I said before, he got screwed over due to the fact we ended up kept running him down, and then with 5 to 4 to go or something like that, Runky just was on his back bumper, and one pat push gone bad, and Axel went head on in the outside wall back across my front bumper actually, and pretty much ruining his chances at a top five, and then DNF'd under the halfway caution. So his day was pretty much over with, and basically only gained 1 point out of the entire night.
Yeah. Even if it
No,
was intentional, even if he did try to cheat, it didn't help him any.
yeah. Well, overall, the racing was, like as we said before, racing was pretty solid for the most part. Another thing that did happen was we did have the Talladega big one. Not honestly surprising. No one DNF'd in the big one, but Coolberry and Frog were making contact and or were racing hard against each other, whether or not it was one came up or the other one came down. But ended up ended up getting hooked into the outside wall and pretty much damaging everybody. Like no one hit the death wall or anything, but like maybe a couple actually might have hit the death wall. I was in front of the pack when it happened, but they, yeah, they all just wrecked pretty much behind. I think if I saw like 7 to 8 cars were involved in that wreck, if I recall. I think the only real main ones that got through was me and Data,
If I remember correctly, yeah.
and there's no tow truck. Hmm. So that's what I forgot. Um, I might be in a bit of a predicament here.
Okay.
So back to Richmond practice session. I was practicing on my phone, and I pulled to you.
Okay. No, 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 no. What? Which me are you talking about? Daytona 250 stupid me, or what me are you talking about?
Well, if you look at the screen share and everything, you can clearly see where I am.
Well, I see you in the back. Yeah, I see you in
I
the
can't
back,
move.
on the back. Okay, I'm gonna say you pulled a Daytona 250 me. He should have practiced. He was last lap of the race. That was after that day. I learned to actually watch the fuel, and I didn't actually race
Well,
after that race because I was irritated with
now that
myself.
we've gone over Talladega, let's go over Richmond. What is your thoughts for Richmond? I don't know if you watched the Waterford race, but in my opinion, this should be about the same as Waterford, even though it's not as small as Waterford. Setups are roughly close to it. You can run the same way as Waterford. We could possibly see two different lines being worked here, though one sacrifices one thing versus the other. So anything can happen here at Richmond.
Definitely. It. I'm not sure what to say about it because from even when I was on the podcast before, I had a hard time trying to think of what the cars could do on a track like this. Yes, I've seen them run and all that, but I haven't actually personally drove one of the cars on a track like this. I know before we started the actual full season during the Clash, I was just doing some testing on the Clash track, but I mean, I wasn't doing very good there, but yet I've been out of the car since last year, I think. Yeah,
Wow, that's true.
actually, it's been a while. It's definitely been a while. But if I had to say, I feel like we're gonna get some interesting racing out of this. At least I'm hoping for interesting racing. I don't. I'm not personally. I'm not very good at Richmond, no matter what team I'm playing. But I like watching the racing at Richmond. Richmond's fun to watch. I'm hoping to see some good racing. Hoping to not see just pure chaos because I know tracks like this have been known to, at least in road racing, just produce pure chaos. But with the way these cars are, I feel like it would definitely might have a might produce some good racing. Definitely.
Well, going into Richmond, who is going to be your prediction to racing here at Richmond? My prediction to winning the race is possibly G-Man. G-Man, from what I've seen him when he's run up this track, he's been overall pretty damn fast. Been one of the best. Hell, me and him did a 10 race practice session or test race, and he was on my ass. Though the first time he beat me, the first test race we did, he ended up just beating me as I was finding a line. The second time, I ended up defending off him for the first 5 laps before he passed me until the very end when I managed to make a spectacular move for the final lap going to turn one, getting to his inside and keeping that inside all the way through 3 and 4, getting me basically the win for the test race. Everything. So, but overall, G-Man's gonna be my one of the ones to watch for this upcoming race.
I don't know exactly how to kind of explain my thought process here is because I know Jim is a good racer. Chase is also a good racer. There's quite a few cars that I know are really good racers. Typically, I would say you, but I feel like people are gonna say I might be biased on that one, but I'm not because I've seen the way you run. You can run pretty good at tracks like these. It it's hard for me to choose somebody because most of these drivers I don't know really well, other than I mean I've seen them a little bit during the recordings. Plus, also at Atlanta, I was there as a spotter for you, and I mean I was mainly watching you, but I was I was looking at the other cars every so often. They ran pretty good. I can't say I have a distinct pick to win, but there are quite a few cars that I feel like could be uh, good contenders for the win.
A track like this at Richmond versus like tracks like you mentioned, Atlanta, Kansas, Talladega, there's not going to be draft at Richmond. So you got to rely on your own speed. I feel like if when you're in clean air and everything, you're in front of everybody, no one's directly behind you, you should be able to pull away from the pack. But those behind that are side by side, battling for positions and everything, roughing each other up, pushing each other out of the groove and all, they're going to get slowed down due to that fact. That they're not going to gain any time because of it. There's, like I said, there's no draft. The only thing that there is bump draft to minimize bumper lock. But other than that, you have nothing else to rely on other than your speed. So pretty much those that qualify top three, top five, those are going to be your top five most of the probably or more than likely most of the day. The only time you could possibly see those guys, sixth, seventh, eighth, ninth, 10th even, is under pit stops. They try to extend the field. They save. They do something in order to push themselves up the racing order versus everybody else and get those positions because for points and everything, track positions all is key here, especially only 7 races left in the regular season. Richmond being one of them. With 7 races left, right now, if we take a look at points right now, let's go have a look at that. Here. We have a look at points here, which why is it that my bad? For some reason it is. I don't know why it did that on OVS, but there you go. Here is points for driver standings right now. So, say if we were say Richmond, Charlotte, SoCal, Iowa, Darlington, they were all done. We stayed the next week is Homestead. Just imagine next week is actually Richmond, but just imagine next week is Homestead. These guys here, me, Mills, we would be locked into the playoffs due to the fact that we gained so many or enough points to lock ourselves in. Max points every race is 31 points overall. 1 being for pole position, 10 for winning halfway, and 20 for winning the race. Plus, you get 5 playoff points, which I forgot to give myself playoff points due to the fact I won to Talladega. But then you have G-Man, you have Maple, Kays, Coolberry, Joey, Frog even. If next week was Daytona, they would more than likely be also locked in. Would be also locked in. And this would leave the battle between Tyler, Spence, King, Noodles. Actually, not Noodles because Noodles doesn't even have a ride no more. But King, Isaac, Daytona, Rocky, James, Miggy, Rayo, any of those guys still have a shot. But since we have 7 weeks left, 7 races left till the playoffs begin, watch out for the playoff bubble. Right now, it is a 1 point difference between these drivers at the cutoff between Spence and King. You got Isaac -4. You got Daytona -6. Rocket -10. Tyler +14. That's not a lot of points. You can easily gain +14 in a race as long as you're better than the person in front of you. I mean, hell, I lost, I think, more than 10 points after the Kansas race due to the fact I got disqualified for something stupid. Ended up being 9 points, 10 to 9 points below Mills. I would have to look at the Discord. But I was behind points that it was going to be really difficult. It was going to be easy for me to catch up, but also at the same time difficult depending on where Mills ran. But then we go to Atlanta. Atlanta. I ran top 5 most of the race. Actually, maybe top 3 most of the race. Mills wasn't even top 5. Maybe might have been a top 5 contender, but it wasn't a top 3 contender, especially after the first 10 laps. Once those first 10 laps, he fell back and wasn't really a contender. Then all of a sudden he got banned. So we had Axel jump into the car for him. That's when that car came to life, was when Axel jumped in the car and was driving. Axel ended up bringing home a top 3, even though it should have been second. Maple should have been a P3, it stayed P3. I should have won the race. But because Lyle did not wait for footage or anything, he decided to give Maple the win while me and Axel lost a position. Then we go to New Jersey. Once again, Mills led 8 laps, which was pretty good. But other than that, he didn't get any playoff point or any stage point or halfway points. Didn't get the pole position. That was all Tyler. Tyler getting points for me, or not for me, but hit for himself. He won the pole position, gaining himself a maximum day due to the fact he won pole, won halfway, won the race. That's 31 points right to his name right there that he gained. And then, of course, we go to Talladega. Me winning the race, getting top or 2 points thanks to the fact that I finished fifth in the halfway versus Mills, who didn't even finish in the top five. I don't even know if he was in. He was like barely. I think he was barely holding on to the top 10 position. To be honest, I don't remember. I would have to relook at the footage and everything, but he was barely holding on to a top 10. I don't know what caused it, but yeah, he was barely holding on to the top 10. And then even though results says he is second and points says he got second, footage shows that he got third. And if it would have been based off of uh the previous restart or whatever happened when the frog incident and Joey incident happened with Nile, then Mills wouldn't even been top five. He would because he got wrecked. Sad to say it, but it is true. But like overall, points are ever so close. We saw over the week Mills was talking about him being one of the best teams. Well, when you have, you know, drivers who are clearly showing speed, and this is not to be disrespectful or anything, but when you have a driver who wins based on luck, which said say that's what happened with Mills for Daytona Road Course. Wasn't a top five car all day Daytona Road Course, but won the race due to the fact Hayes DNF and Joey DNF and another caution came out. I think for a flip or something like that. But we got overtime multiple times, giving him the win. Then Kansas happened. I got DNQ'd. So of course it gave him a points advantage to give himself playoff points, or well, not playoff points because he didn't gain any, but gain himself top 5 points and race points overall, halfway and race points. So of course that's what gained time on versus me. Daytona ended up getting shuffled out of the pack and then finishing seventh, or no, top five. But there's a little bit of controversy that like Isaac, he should have been put to the rear due to the fact he corner cut it and never gave up time until almost start finish line. Daytona Road Course got finished seventh due to the fact Mills shoved into me and or sent it into me and ruined my race for the most part. Kansas didn't queued. Atlanta finished won the should have won the race, across the line first, but ended up getting placed second. Of course, New Jersey, I didn't race, but Cody raced for me and he still got, I think, a top 10 at least. I had to look at points, but I think he still got, or results, I mean, not points. Yeah, finished seventh versus Mills, finishing eighth, which put me 2 points below Mills. So then what happened at Dega? Well, I ended up finishing fifth at in the halfway. Gives me 2 points. That ties me with Mills. Then we go into the race, or the final state halfway, or the final half. I win the race. 20 points to my name versus Mills. Right now, result says second, but like I said before, he should be third, not second. So to be honest, he should be 6 points behind instead of five. But overall, Mills can still catch up. We still have a lot of time in the season for Mills to catch up, or me make a mistake, or get DNQ'd again. Anything can happen. I mean, we have over 20 drivers overall. If you look at this board, we have here's the first 10 right here, and then here's everybody else. This is over 20 drivers. Granted, you got Noodles, Chase, Chosen. They just lost their rides. Aiden, of course, got banned for reasons. But overall, this season's been a pretty damn good. We got a damn good points battle position for the win. For owners points right now, we have a 3 point difference between G-Man and Mills for champ wise or ownership. But driver wise, it's all me versus Mills right now. That's really where the main focus is currently.